Hi, y'all. This is Precious. Welcome to Precious Gems Podcast. I am sitting here with a longtime friend of mine, Chanelle Sanders, and all of you guys know who this person is. She is a model. She is a mom. She is a student. She is a daughter. But most importantly, she is an author. And I just want to say, I'm so proud of you. You wrote a book, and it's called Will I Ever See Tomorrow? So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about your journey and how you even decided to author your book. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to Precious Gems Podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about women empowerment, all about the journey of self-growth, self-discovery, and healing. So without further ado, welcome Chanelle to Precious Gems Podcast. I'm so happy to have you.
Yes, girl, I am so happy to be here. I'm just thankful for the connection. See how everything just happened?
God just,
it happens
yes.
for a reason, right?
Yes. I'm out here in Arizona. Chanelle relocated to Arizona June of 2021. And as you all know, I lived here for many, many years. So I had to come out here to visit some friends. And I hit her up and was like, hey, let's do this podcast because you have a story you need to tell and you need to get this out. I know a lot of people read the book, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper. A lot of people read the book.
A lot of people got the book. We don't know
Yeah, right. Well, let's hope that they read the book. If y'all got the book, y'all should have read the book. I read the book. Yeah. The book is beautiful. So we're just going to talk about that.
I'm glad you read it.
Yes, I did. I read the book, so I'm so excited.
It's a short book, so you know.
It's a short book, so
I kept it straight to the point.
You did. You kept it straight to the point. And so if y'all have the book, girl, it's only like 56 pages.
Yeah.
That's like.
And it's fun.
It's fun.
And you be into it. And
it's informative. And it teaches you a lot about self-growth.
Yes. Like, how did this girl start from here? And, you know, but, you know, towards the end, you be like, where is she now? You know, it makes you want more.
It makes you want more. And then I know if you write a second book, this book is just a prelude to your next book when you decide to write your next book. So I want to start from the beginning. We're going to go into a little bit about where you're from, a little bit about your upbringing, and then just your mental health journey from as a little girl all the way up until your new transition to being in a new state, being in this new space, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, of course, you know, I'm from G.I., Gary, Indiana, born and raised. I come from a background, 3 boys, baby girl, out of the boys. So, you know, I was a little rough around the edges growing up, but still kept it cute and classy.
Yes, a house full of boys.
I never used to be girl when I met you. Elementary. No, I think it was elementary.
Marquette.
Marquette.
Yep, went to Marquette. Probably
and
in the
you
neighborhood.
Had some braids in your hair. I thought you was the cutest girl. You looked like Brandy. She's so pretty.
My mama kept me with some braids when I was short.
I never forget. I think you had on the black and white J's. I always wanted them Jordans too. And you was just so pretty.
Oh,
you was like one
thank
of those girls,
you.
like everybody want to be like, look like. You had the pretty eyes, you had the style,
Thank
the pigeon
you.
toe, and I was like, I want to be her friend.
Girl, and I didn't even think that about myself at that age, okay?
And so, you know, growing up, you know, in the neighborhood, me and Ryan, that's where we grew up at and stuff like that. So I was always a friendly person, you know. I was very friendly, but I just always had problems with people. I think, no, it wasn't me. People had problems with me.
Period. Because I be minding my business.
I was minding my business, and then this girl, oh, you want to bang? Oh, okay.
Right.
So I had got into a couple little scuffles.
Girl, scuffling, okay?
Yes, I was outside with it, throwing them blows. You know, we from the hood.
We from the hood. And you know what?
From the hood if you ain't throwing no blows. So.
My fondest memories of us growing up in Glen Ryan is when we would ride through Death Valley and get chased by all them dogs. Me and they still talk about that. How all them big ass pit bulls and Rottweilers would be chasing us on the bikes, chains would be slipping. I loved growing up in Glen Ryan because we had the best time.
We had the best time. It was like every day when we woke up.
We had fun.
We can ready to do some things.
Yes. So fast forward, we grew up in Glen Ryan. We grew up in the hood. We grew up in the
so many memories.
So many memories.
Like,
going over each other's house, spending the night.
I remember spending the night at your house. And
girl.
And staying with you, girl, I know we used to just eat. I'm like, I love going to her house because I know
We gonna eat good, okay? And coming over your house, Miss Sanders, y'all was like the neighborhood mom. She took care of everybody. She loved everybody. She did everybody mama's hair, they hair. I mean, your house was just so inviting. We would all just come out, sit outside on the porch. Nika's house was 2 houses down. And we would just have a ball playing on the trampoline in Nika's backyard, riding bikes.
Do you remember when my mom, I think she had got like a school bus or a van,
took us all to Great America.
That's what I said too. I thought it was at Indiana Beach.
I think it was Indiana Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we think we rode in a car for Great America.
Oh, she took us to Great America.
She took us to Great America too. Yeah, we used to have a ball.
I'm like, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
That, so.
And so a lot of the struggles that you had, just when you talked about how girls would try to pick on you, jealousy, a lot of envy. So you kind of grew up.
You know, always had the rumors. You know, he say, she say. You know.
Yeah.
It's always, and I couldn't understand like why. You know,
because God had a greater purpose.
Harsh things.
Yes.
You know.
Trust me, I know.
And so, but that didn't change me as a person. You know, that didn't change me as a person. I fought my way through that shit.
And so in the book, the thing that the biggest takeaway that I, especially from growing up, you suffer from a lot of anxiety as a child.
Yes,
and depression, and not really knowing that you suffer from anxiety and depression and kind of like detachment and codependency. And so especially with the absence of a father, and then your mom working and taking care of you all, and then fast forward through the passing of Jamel, rest in peace. I know, and then being a single mom, being a teenage mom, your mental state wasn't always the best.
No, because first of all, you know, you think you know everything. So that was me.
Yes.
I just thought I knew, and I was doing things my way, and you know, the outcome of it was just like, ooh, you know, what am I doing? But I'm gonna still do it my own way.
Do it my own way, and I'm
gonna go do it my way this way, you know, and go over here and do it my way this way, and until I just kept running into dead ends.
And so, did you feel like you had a lot of peer pressures as a teenager? Like you succumbed to a lot of
okay, you know, from the hood,
yeah.
Hey, you better do this. Hey, this is what we do.
Or you lame, or this, or you girl.
It's like
that's so corny.
It was like, this is the time it is. It's like either you gonna be this person or you ain't.
I know,
and so we
struggle with it.
This person. I know,
because you know, y'all don't know, but Chanelle and I, we're Cancers. We're the sign of Cancer, and our sign is very intuitive, very empathetic, very guarded in a sense as well. We feel deeply, and so it's hard for us sometimes to connect to people because we oftentimes can get taken advantage of. So talk a little bit about how, as a teenager, dealing with the peer pressures, and then also being torn between the spiritual side of you, and then the worldly side.
Yeah. You know, one thing about it is, you know, doing like the peer pressure and, you know, people trying to influence you to do these type of things or whatever it is that they're doing. I always felt like I had a mind of my own, so I was always with the shits.
Yeah, very much so.
So I can't really say it was really much peer pressure because I was like always just down. You know, that was my problem. Now, if I can go back and change it, I would change it. But my mind was already moving like that. You see what I'm saying? So
fast-paced environment.
Yeah, so it wasn't so much for me as peer pressure. It was just the environment that I was in, and it was like I adapted to it quickly. Yep. You know what I mean? So it was easy for me to be popular. You know?
Yeah, and you very much were.
Yeah, it was easy for me. So it was like, it was just a flow for me, but it set me back. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I go back and look like, well, Chanelle, you know, would you rather have been popular, or, you know, would you rather have really took your time through life and, you know, really, you know, got the education that you needed at that time, you know.
But your biggest teacher right now is life, girl.
Yeah. You know, and just a lot of things that I could have avoided.
Yeah.
But because
it was
the environment that I was in, it was the mindset that I was in.
Yes.
And just me as a person, it was easy for me. You see what I mean? But
and you had a lot of girls that looked up to you.
Yeah.
A lot of girls wanted to be like you because you're spunky, you're smart, you're pretty, you're beautiful, you're intelligent, and you just got that personality that just draws people in. You naturally attract energy. So a lot of people wanted to be like you, but then a lot of people didn't like you because of that as well. You know, you had the long, pretty hair. You know, your mama was a well-known
And the thing is,
stylist.
like, I was never stuck up, never thought I was better than anybody.
Nope.
You know, but that's just life.
That's just life.
You know what I'm saying? And like they say, the song Beyonce say, pretty hurts.
Pretty hurt. We do pretty privileges.
Pretty hurts. And I mean, baby,
girl, they just be
I cut up.
Like, I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. I'm not a fighter, so I don't even
cut up.
Girl.
Man, that's so many females.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
You know, pretty hurts. I've been torn apart
Mm-hmm.
with females.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you know, then at that time, I had to fight my way through it.
Yeah.
I fought my way. That was me. As soon as you say something about me or my name is something, because it happened so much that it was like, I gotta let people know who I am.
Yep. And stand your ground.
So now, you know, as I started getting older, I just started really realizing that everybody ain't my friend.
No.
Because see, with me in my heart, I'm open.
Yep.
I'll
our downfall.
talk about it to people.
Yep.
But people was turning it on me.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Turning your
They
flaws.
was talking about me. And, and it messed up a lot with my relationships with guys too, because they was hearing stuff. They like, oh, rumors about, they ain't gonna be like that. Because of what they was hearing. You know, when you hear something bad about a person, you be like,
especially where we girl come from, people are shallow.
It was hard for me to keep relationships.
Yeah.
And all of it.
Friendships. And then talk about being a teenage mother and how it was a blessing, but you also experienced adversity. You know, being a teenage mom and then dealing with the passing of the late Jamel and how that all took a toll on you and your mental health, and how it still affects you today.
It took a toll on me. Like, it was very dark for me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I met the father of my son, he changed that. You know, it was a spark there that changed, and it was like brought me back to life, and I felt love again. I felt life. I felt, you know, company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, when I had that, I was like, you know, I didn't want to lose that because I didn't want to feel that hurt again. I didn't want to feel that loneliness again. You know, and so when he came into my life, it was like he filled this void that was there that caused emptiness and drainage, and it was keeping me down. And so when I had that with him, that experience, you know, it was good, you know, for the time.
Girl, for the time, Lord, child, Jesus.
But he was who he was. You see what I'm saying? I could tell him all day long about my hurt. I can tell him all day long about how I've been affected and my traumas, which I did. I expressed everything to this man. Like, he knew my whole life. But that doesn't mean that he fully understands, because he can't feel it. He can hear it, but he can't feel it.
That's deep. That's very poignant.
So when he was doing him, I can't understand why he's doing him. I'm just hurt because you hurt me.
Hurt
See
people
what I'm
hurt
saying?
people.
You're hurting me, so I'm not, you know, there to understand him. I'm needing him to understand me. So it was just a lot of confusion and stuff going there. And by him being young and being the type of person he was, he had his own life. He was doing him, you know, and I'm pregnant. And we just ended up kind of going our separate ways. And so it was like, oh my God, I went into this dark place again.
This dark, deep depression.
I went into that dark, deep depression. And it was like it was the worst. I wanted to die.
Postpartum, did you experience that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, me too, girl.
Oh yeah, I almost took myself out a couple of times.
Girl, me too, child. And that's
I
crazy.
took myself out a couple of times. Like, I felt nothing but death. Like, it was like life was over. It was like, why am I here? Why am I feeling?
That's
How did
the
someone
worst.
do this to me? Don't he know that I need him? Don't he know the hurt that's going on in me right now? Like, why would he do this? Why would someone hurt me like this? I didn't understand that. But it's because he was already who he was.
Yep.
I was already who I was and the pain that I was going through. But had I had took the time to, heal and not, jump into things. But it's like,
but we were children.
I had to go through that.
Yeah, but you were
That
a
was
child.
something that I had to go through. I had to
It's a part of your
experience.
testimony.
It was already a task for me.
Yeah. But don't beat yourself up for what you did not know, because what you gained was wisdom. What you gained was clarity after the fact. You have a beautiful son, 2 beautiful boys. And so when we're children, we don't understand the psychological impact that our traumas really have on us, because we're just not developed in that way yet.
And what really, took a toll on me is, the fact that I didn't really cherish my mother enough during those days. I was so hooked and focused on this guy,
This boy,
my son's father. I was so hooked on him, wanting him, needing him, that I didn't see my loving mother loving me through my pregnancy, not bashing me. She didn't put me down. She supported me in every way. She took care of me, and all I did was moped around. It was just miserable and sad. Whenever I'm upset at everybody, and I'm just outrageous to all the people who love me.
That's very powerful to even recognize.
And so, when I was writing my book and I was writing all of these things, I cried.
Oh yeah.
I love my mom now to this day so much, because when I was a teenager, I was an angry girl, because I was outside just doing stuff, and I was living in a lot of confusion. So it was like everything was just confusion.
Yes. Girl, we got the same story.
It was just confusion, and it's
just
like
mad.
I couldn't even see nothing else.
People used to tell me, why you always looking so mean? And I legit would not be looking mean in my mind, but the scowl I had on my face, yes.
You're living in these things.
Now in hindsight, I look back and I go,
like they say,
damn.
The inside
reflects the ass. Yeah, it did.
And it was. And so, around that time after I had my son and stuff like that, I started losing weight. I was skinny. I was small.
You was
girl, listen, the rumors, right? Girl,
yeah.
Them haters, they don't come, they was hating on me.
Child, and that's terrible, because at the end of the day, we were still children, and it's like children can be so cruel and non-compassionate, and they don't understand how rumors, because I've had rumors on me, girl, how it affects your mental health. And for a long time, that shit had me down bad too. You know what I'm saying? So I just applaud you for even recognizing your growth through that, going through that, sharing that testimony, and fast forward.
And I held it in for so long, because it was like I had this image I had to protect, like you said. How to let everybody know you this person.
Oh my gosh.
I had my guard up, so I had to protect my image. I'm like, I don't want nobody to know I'm going through this. I don't want nobody to know I'm feeling like this. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't finna tell nobody this. I tell my close friends, and stuff like that. But
and we don't even really know how to express it at that age.
A lot of stuff that's in that book, 5 years from now, baby, I would have never said none of that stuff. I wouldn't have known how.
Wouldn't even known how.
Because of my image, because I feel like I gotta keep pretending. I gotta keep putting on this front.
That was imposter. You writing this book, sharing your journey, sharing your truth. You are your whole authentic self, who God is calling you to be. So
He called me.
Called you.
He called me a long time ago.
Yes.
And I was like, and that was, a feeling too. Like I knew I had this calling over my life. Yep. I just didn't know how to reach it.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know how to reach it. And I'm like, I know I'm getting ready to be saved. I know I'm getting ready to be healed, but still trying to find it, because God said, I'm not finished yet. You still got a little walking to do.
You still got some walking.
You still got a little bit more climbing to do.
He just setting you up for how he wants you to be.
Where I got so uncomfortable.
Girl!
I packed up and left.
Just living in a state of uncomfortability. Yes. Just can't. And then let's talk about that. How did you even transition?
Well, So, the story just kept going over and over and over, just with my life. Because I was still, in that confusion. I was still growing. I was still going
figuring
through the
things out
of my life. I started drinking.
You're a model, so you have so many stories.
And I found that. But I started.
But you found your lane.
I found it. So that's in one of the chapters. Started
drinking, partying, and how did that just taking on alcohol.
Oh man, because first of all, I had already had issues. I was dealing with, depression.
Yeah.
And that was causing me to be off balance. Drink.
Oh yeah.
I had a lot of conditions and things that I was going through that I didn't get help with. I didn't get no type of help for it. So I was drinking and, doing drugs and, popping pills. Let me go ahead and say this because,
they'll be like, child, you'll make your
hand
whole pot of head. Girl, they love to throw some drugs on folks nowadays. Girl, just fight. And this is a no judgment podcast. So when you listen to this podcast, we operate out of love. We don't operate out of hate or judgment or any of that nonsense. So y'all take away the good stuff.
Yeah, and then like you said too, a little pressure coming through, as you get older, because you around these people that's doing this, and you like, it's gonna make you feel good. And it made me feel good, of course, because I was partying. But the next day, I was like, I'm a mother. I shouldn't be doing this type of stuff.
God. God's the voice.
Yeah.
Like, girl, now look.
I'm like, now you know.
Now
Ooh,
you
I
know.
used to feel shame, girl. I like my
shame.
For 7 days.
Shame, eat guilt, shame and guilt to eat you up.
Come back outside, but they don't see me no more. They still be going. I'm like, y'all still going?
Yeah, because they not trying to numb that pain.
I'm like, no, I can't do it now. Y'all give me one day, I might come outside, pop a field, drink a little.
Yeah, but other than that, no. And it's funny, I could just see pain on people, when I see people doing those types of things. I'm like, dang, you can just set yourself so free, But I'm so glad that you came through that.
Well, I found the Holy Spirit when I was a little girl.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
I found the Holy Spirit when I would say about like 7, 8 years old, so I always danced with God, I always felt him in the spirit.
Okay.
And got that anointing. I caught the Holy Ghost when I was like, I would say 10 years old.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, just knowing that is God.
Yeah, so God reached me,
Yeah.
and he reached me on so many different levels, That's why I used to write when I was a little girl. I used to have a little journal and I write poetry all day, every day. I told my mom, I said, Mom, when I get grown, I want to publish these journals. I want to be an author. Because I felt like then God was giving me a lot about life and love. Words, poetry it's in the Bible.
He was giving you your calling then.
Yeah. And just writing about love. That's why I take love so seriously. Because he gave me these tools and these answers and these keys when it comes to love. That's all I wrote about. And
just
that's what made me feel happy about life. I love life. When I pick up my journal and write, I was like, oh my God, it's just
And that's
beautiful.
A spiritual release too. It's a spiritual release to be able to journal that.
So,
and a lot of people should take up journaling because when you write out your thoughts
you'd be surprised.
And it doesn't have to make sense, but writing it releases dopamine. It releases whatever chemical in you that gives you adrenaline.
That gives you that,
yeah. So and it's a spiritual. It's a form of therapy too. So
it definitely is, and that's how I always found myself through writing.
That's good.
Pages. And somehow when we moved, my mom, she ended up trashing all my journals. I was sick for a long time because that was a part of me.
Yeah.
I knew that when I get grown, there was some pages, there was some things God wanted me to see.
Yes.
There was some things that was going to wake me back up because I was already prepared. You see what I'm saying? And I was like, that was a part of my life.
Yes.
And I stopped writing for a long time.
You had okay. I highlighted some things.
Come on, friend.
I highlighted some things in this book. I'm gonna touch on the alcoholism too because this is my pathology. You said like any other family, we had issues and problems too. Alcoholism, for instance, was an addiction my family battled with the most. Why did alcoholism run through our blood? Spending time with my family helped me see my identity, helped me realize where I come from and what curses need to be broken. Deep inside me, every one of my aunts lives in me. Oh, how phenomenal and gifted my blood ties run. Family is the root that grows the tree. So when you wrote that about the alcoholism, that resonated with me so much because that's my family's pathology. And I'm able to see how it affects both the men and the women and how I've been able to break a generational curse by not having the desire or like the addiction to
yeah.
alcohol. And so I just applaud you for even recognizing that and getting the help or being able to overcome the alcoholism and the alcoholism abuse.
Yeah.
And so you talked a lot about your anxiety, and I too struggle with this touched me so much because this part really struck a chord with how my identity was when I was growing up. You said growing up back then, parents weren't intimately aware of children's disorders. The brain is a highly integrated organ which has multiple sections specializing in different processes. If a child is preoccupied with fears or anxiety, no matter how intellectually gifted a child may be, that kind of emotional interference will impair their learning.
Exactly.
Yes, there were tons of other kids just like me.
Yes.
It was not that I was illiterate or unable to keep up, but that I suffered from a condition called phobic disorder. This is an anxiety disorder that causes you to have irrational, persistent fear of an object, situation, or social activity. With this condition, I didn't take the time to understand myself, yet instead I ran from my fears. I ran from my own problems that eventually caused me to be a failure in many things, such as education, honesty, leadership, and being adaptable. That was me.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
When I read that, girl, I got
God.
triggered and emotional. I was like, is she talking about me?
You see how we hide things?
I read.
You see how we hide that?
Hide it.
Will we go out and express that to people?
No, because I'm like, I had a fear of people because of the trauma, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the emotional and verbal abuse. All of those. So
when you're in that social environment,
yeah,
and then another thing you got to realize, your mind isn't clear.
Mine is not clear.
That's why meditate. It's so important to meditate, because meditating it trains your mind to be free, calm, relaxing, and and just empty.
Yes.
We don't know how to do that because all day your mind rambling.
Girl.
So when you first start meditating, like the first 10 minutes, your mind still might be going. You might, this is boring. My eyes is closed. It's a process.
You have to sit still.
It might not kick in until about 30 minutes. And when it kick in, I'm telling you, it'll take your mind to a whole nother level.
Yep.
It's the process.
It's a process. You have to get still and sit and discern God's voice. I'm glad
that I've been doing that because of my fears and anxieties and things of that nature that I battle with.
Yes.
Just socially and just around people in school. I'm back in school. This is the longest I've been in college, girl. Look, let me drink today.
Girl, I'm back in school myself. And when I tell you I'm so done and over school, but I only have a few more classes to go.
When are you going to be done?
February of 2023 is when I'll do my last class. So by April 2023, I'll do my capstone, and then I'll be back here in May of 2023 because I go to Grand Canyon University. So I'll be able to walk. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, that part of the book was very poignant to me because.
And you know what? I didn't know that too much about myself. But when I wrote that book, like you said, how did you get to this point? I had a sticky note on my wall. I would say maybe 2017. It was just a sticky note that said, write a book. Because I knew I always wanted to write a book. Since I was a little girl, I try to always do things that keep me feeling good, and it starts when you're young. Think of a good activity that you used to do, that you used to love, like a sport, whether
like double dutch. We played a lot of that, jump rope.
Or what is it, like something that you said when you were younger that you wanted to do?
I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an actress when I was young. I was the family entertainer. I was the dancer. I was the person that made everybody laugh.
That gift starts when you're young.
We just
feel like we lose it when we get grown because things change, but God already given us that.
He already gave it. Yep.
And so mine was to always write. And when I lost that, I was just in a world of confusion. See, writing saved me. Writing helps me. Writing heals me. Writing wakes me up. And because I hadn't had that pen and that paper for so many years, I was lost in the world. I was just living in the world. But see, that's not the way God had me operating. Yeah. He already knew me. That's why, as a child, He gave me that pen and paper because He knew my healing. He knew what He had for me.
Where your talents were.
Yes. Yeah. And So, like I said, I had this sticky note 2017 saying a book. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write a book. But then again, like I said, I like writing poetry. So I started writing one day some poetry. And I'm like, okay, but I can't go on. Like, with a book, you gotta keep going.
Yes.
I'm like, wait now, guy.
Right, I ain't got that much time, guys.
And I turned it over on the backside. But what we doing after this?
But I know as you started writing, you started to get, it was therapeutic.
I wrote, I did a poetry. It was called What's After Pain. So it was a good poetry.
I like that title.
It's actually in a book, to one of my chapters. So I ended up making that a chapter because it's towards the back. But What's After Pain? And it was a poetry, and it's actually in there. It's a poetry. And I started reading that at funeral services,
I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that I'm a single mother raising 2 kids on my own. No way was this the life I had imagined. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think somewhere up in there too, let me see. I had to do some stuff. Okay, here it is. With pain, we all wonder why. We all wonder if this is our last forever. Pain comes from so many things for so many reasons and happen in so many ways. But today, I've grown out my pain. I'm not afraid of the rain. But what's after pain? After hope and faith. I realized that it was those 3 things: pain, hope, then faith. After my pain, I began to trust the rain, the darkness, the sadness. The happiness I spent many years searching for was looking for me. The joy I begged God for was already placed in my eyes to see. I didn't know which way to go. I was so drained from all the pain. I was so lost in the wet, muddy, dry rain, not knowing that hope was next to my name, not knowing that faith was carrying my shame. I said, Lord, is this a game? Is this the way my life will be framed? Then the Lord grabbed me, held on to my life and saying to me, this is after pain.
Girl, you got me over here. The way you just, faith and shame. We just kind of talked about that, right before we started recording. And that just made me realize that I'm still holding on to some of the shame about what we talked about. But that was so beautiful.
Because like I said in the beginning, it's that image. We keep trying to block that.
Yes.
To put on this image because we too afraid to go out. We it's like when you come out of a room, right, and you don't have on no clothes.
Yeah.
You're naked, you just start hiding yourself like, wait, I don't have no clothes on. You don't want nobody to see you.
Yes. You feel naked.
Yeah, you feel naked.
You feel vulnerable and exposed.
It's like, let me go back in and get myself dressed.
That's imposter syndrome, girl.
Let me go back
Wow.
in. But see, what I realize is that you got to get out of your own way.
You got to get out of your own way. Yes.
You got to get out of your own way.
You're preaching today on the Sunday. It's today's Sunday.
And like we said, writing it down. See, you haven't let it out because you haven't written it down. You don't have to always talk about it to everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to make it no book. Just write it down.
That's true.
We hold it in. We don't even talk. Some things we be afraid to talk to God about and pray because we scared to say it out loud.
Scared to say it out loud. You gotta write it down.
Like I said again, it's like, coming out naked and don't have no clothes on. You don't want nobody to see you.
Yeah. Ooh, that just took me to a place. You're preaching today.
So I had this 2017, taking it back. Let's keep it going. A book. So again, I write this poetry, still not going nowhere. Here we are. We already in 2017, 2018 come. I started feeling some type of way. I was depressed.
Girl.
I would call my mom up on the phone, be in my closet just crying. I called like, Mom. She's like, what's wrong? And I just like, Mama, just in tears.
Really?
She's like, what's wrong? Did something happen?
And you just didn't understand why.
I said, Mama, why am I hurting? I'm unhappy, Mama. I had already packed up from Lafayette, came to Michigan City. but it's because God was preparing
He
me.
was preparing you.
But because I wasn't there yet, of course I'm gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there yet.
You in the beginning stages of your healing.
Yeah, and so I'm just crying, and she's like, "What is it, baby?" I said, "Mama, I don't know." So of course I just, clean up my house, because sometimes if I rearrange some things, it'll
It'll make you feel,
so
make you
I
feel
do
better.
everything I can to make me feel better. Why? Because I'm fighting depression.
Fighting depression. Me too.
Who do I want to call and tell that to? Nobody.
Because ain't nobody gonna understand, because people gonna think that you're weak, that you're not capable, or that nothing is really wrong. But depression is a silent killer.
Yeah, I was going through depression, real bad. Again, I was going through this phase again. Started back drinking, not really heavy, but I'll have some episodes where I drink. It'll get bad. Why? Because I'm battling with depression right now. I'm fucked up in the head. Nobody knows. I barely knows. But the next day when they tell me about how I was, I'll be like,
oh, my bad. I was right.
Sister girl,
my bad.
Sister girl,
my bad, y'all. I was fucked up.
One night.
Well, that you sharing that, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And then, time going on. So one day I would say, maybe the end of 2018, I'm a substitute teacher working at a school, and a vision comes to mind, is words, and it said, "Will I ever see tomorrow?" Girl, when I say them words moved me, I didn't know what they meant, but I grabbed my pen, grabbed my stuff, and wrote it down.
God.
Chills came through my body. It was happiness. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was gonna do with it, but I just wanted those words.
He was speaking to you, because you were at that point. You were still enough for him to be able to speak to you, and you be able to discern his voice. Yes. He said, "It's time. I'm setting you up."
And I wanted those words, so I went home, put that sticky note on my wall, just looked at it. Will I ever see tomorrow? I was like, "Oh, that's me," because that's what I wanted.
Will you ever see tomorrow?
That's what I wanted. It was the life of healness. I knew. See, I'm a visionary.
Yeah.
I already knew as a little girl the life that I wanted.
Yes.
The family, the happiness. I love happiness. I love family. I lived in that moment. I shared that moment. And that's just me. God gave me those tools. I wrote it down. It was written down in my journals. I've thrown away, but the words still exist, baby.
And they're out in the universe.
They out in the universe.
Yes.
And so what I wrote in those journals was my life, and I wasn't there, and so I was broken, I was damaged, I was uncomfortable, because I wasn't myself.
And that's
y'all
also
thought
a release.
Y'all knew me.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I laughed, I played, but there was still another person.
Still another person.
When I went in the house at 6 o'clock when them lights came on,
it's a whole different person. I could definitely relate, because I was the same way. And I had a fear of people. I had a fear because I had so much anxiety as a child. So I never really could connect to people the way that I'm able to connect now, because I have a sense of self. And so I can totally relate to that, and then just having the depression. Like, I recently went through realizing that I was depressed, and I
listened to your first.
That I was depressed, and girl, that just been an awakening for me, because I was going through life thinking that everything was okay, but I was still holding on to a lot of different things that I needed to release from. And so now that my mind is clear and my anxiety is under control, I feel a whole lot better.
And one thing about life is God gave us a purpose and a mission. When we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing for Him and His kingdom, we're gonna always find confusion.
Oh, Lord.
You're not doing what you're supposed to do. People be hitting me up, "Oh, girl, let's go outside, let's do this." That ain't my mission.
That is not my. Yes.
I'm not supposed to be there. It's not serving me no purpose. Anything could happen to me. I value my time.
Girl.
Something could happen to me.
Girl, and I got kids. Right. Period.
I got things to do. I don't have time to be sitting outside just fumbling around and energy vibration off.
No. And that's a lie. People don't understand the transference of energy.
Now, if we going somewhere where we getting ready to be focusing on our mindset, maybe some yoga, meditation, like what we doing. This is what I call outside.
Yes, because it's therapeutic and it's healing. And God sent us here to teach. He sent us here to teach. And so just to close it out, I want you to talk about, how did you get to, we talked about how you got the title of the book, and then actually putting the pages to wanting to write the book.
Sure. once that came about, again, I got uncomfortable. Things wasn't going, how I wanted it to go. Why? Because I knew I was on a mission. I knew I had something to do, write this book. And when the pandemic hit, everybody was shut down.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, although I said, I caught the Holy Spirit as a young child, but now who I am as an adult.
Yeah.
Let's talk
And
grown
who
up
am
talk
I as
now.
an adult?
Let's
Yeah.
talk grown up talk now. And I
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute, God, I gotta be honest. I've been going to church. Here we are. We put this image on all the time. Like we know something. And I said, well, God, now that I'm grown, I don't really get to really know you like that. But I want to know you. That's all God been waiting for. He was jumping up.
He was like, what? Okay.
Y'all be going somewhere.
Period. And that's how it feels.
When I tell you, I fell in love.
Fell in love.
And when I got on my girl, he handed me everything. He handed me my book. That's the end of the closing. That
He
day.
handed it to you. And
That day.
Yes.
He brought me, he said, I'm getting ready to show you why and what happened and all of this. When I wrote that book, girl, I found myself in that book. When everybody who read my book and was reading them chapters,
I felt the
I
pain.
was the same way. I had to go back. I was like, oh.
And I'm sure it healed up some things too.
We don't realize that.
Yeah.
We grown now. Let's talk about it.
Did you find healing in?
I found I can go on with you all day talking about that. But one thing about it is my kids saw it. My mama saw it. They said, you changed.
Yes.
I was busy. I was on an assignment. I would be in my room for hours. I was on when I'm telling you on an assignment for
when you
God.
on girl, talk about it.
Look, kids, when you hit the door,
talk about it.
Shut.
Talk about it when you on your assignment.
Can't nothing. I was so prepared. I already knew. God had already told me the enemy's getting ready to come. Baby, they came. They robbed me. Somebody robbed me $5,000, and that was my investment money to get what I needed. That was the enemy. Oh, girl, please. I kept going. I said, oh, that's all right. I might not have no computer right now, but guess what? The library do. I was at the library. They knew me.
Cause I'm right, girl.
And they knew my mission.
Girl.
When you on a mission for God, can't nobody
take it away.
Can't nobody stop
Cause you're obedient to God.
And everybody gonna respect you. You ain't even got to talk about it.
Nope. And I'm learning that too.
And another thing, like I told you, you ain't gotta worry about your friends following you or saying, like I told you.
Yep.
Some of them just ain't your audience, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
That means that you're going somewhere else.
You're going somewhere else.
That don't mean that they don't see you.
Yep.
Everybody vision ain't the same.
It's true.
Everybody vision ain't the same.
And everybody ain't supposed to come along on it.
It's just social media, and social media ain't in the Bible.
It ain't in the Bible. Hello.
Jesus, baby, we following
Hello.
Jesus. So
social media ain't in the Bible.
That's not important.
That's not important.
It's not important.
It's not important.
So
you are
I don't
so
care
right.
about social media.
You are so absolutely right.
Social media is draining a little bit.
It's so draining.
I get on there and I do what I do and stuff like that, but
you have to disconnect.
It's not something that God wants us to do anyway. Yeah, we can share the good news. That's what He wants us to do. Share the good news.
Share the good news. Put it in the universe.
But so that's how I found myself, my true self. I wrote my book. I found myself through my book through those pages.
Will I ever see tomorrow?
Leave the feedback on Amazon. Leave me a review.
Yes, y'all, and it's only 56 pages long.
$15. I throw
$15. Yes.
I'm cool. I throw you a little.
Yeah, I mean, support the book. Read the book. There is a message. There is healing, and most importantly, there is God in this book.
Definitely, and it definitely Savior in the book.
It's a Savior in this book. And I just want to thank you so much, Chanelle, for just agreeing to do this, for being so vulnerable and so open, being so obedient. And I know that this story will change lives. It'll give y'all a new perspective on some things that you didn't know. If you haven't read the book, I do encourage you to go and get the book. And thank you so much. And this episode is called Empower Her. Yes. Thank y'all for listening.
Before we close out, I want to leave something for you.
Okay.
Always keep a growth mindset on this journey. It allows you to embrace challenges and learn from your feedback.
Ooh, always keep a growth mindset.
Growth mindset.
It allows you to embrace challenges and learn from your feedback. Amen. Thank you so much for that, because I needed to hear that, and I appreciate that. And y'all, thank y'all for listening to Precious Gems Podcast. Bye.